Good afternoon. My name is Phil Jackman and I lead on Cyber North, the region's cybersecurity cluster, developed by Dynamo Northeast and supported by Accenture and the Innovation Super Network. We're working to support the region as a great place to deliver cybersecurity services. CyberFirst, now in its third year, shows the breadth of talent and expertise that the industry has in the region, and also the wide and often complicated facets that contribute to cybersecurity. This is the 10th of 11 events that we have in September, with the season finale this evening. Throughout CyberFest, we've had a number of events encouraging people into the industry. And in this session, we're supported by our colleagues at the National Cybersecurity Centre and its CyberFirst programme. I'd like to pass you on to Glenn from the NCSC.
Okay, hi everybody. I hope you can hear me. I can't see too much feedback. So first of all, what is the NCSC for those that don't know? So National Cybersecurity Centre, we're part of GCHQ. We are headquartered in London in that lovely building on the right there, Nova South, although some of us do spend our time in Cheltenham, it was nicely known as the Donut. So our role is to make the UK the safest place to live and work online. And to do that, we support a range of organisations, the public, industry, small, medium and large enterprises. When incidents happen in the cyber arena, we help them, we manage the incidents, and we help them with recovery, and we learn lessons and basically educate people into being safer from a cybersecurity perspective. Okay, so go for my slides. So what is the CyberFirst Schools Colleges programme? So a little bit of history first of all. Back in January 2018, the NCSC ran a pilot in Gloucestershire looking to work with a range of local schools to encourage more students to take up both GCSE and A-level in computer science, to encourage more female students to take up computing, to try and educate and encourage students to view cybersecurity as a possible career choice, to work with the teachers to develop new content and resources to try and make the teaching of computer science in schools more exciting and interesting, and also to encourage local companies with an interest in tech, computer science or cybersecurity to become involved supporting schools. Now this whole project was done because basically there is a dearth of people coming into the cybersecurity industry. NCSC not only looks at schools, but we also look at the university. We do the full end-to-end from education to academia, working with universities to accredit their degrees, supporting companies with apprentices, and we have the full range. And this is all due to basically there being a lack of people coming into the industry, and NCSC trying to figure out, by working with others, ways to improve that. So the project in Gloucestershire was a huge success. A large range of companies got involved, and a large number of schools successfully increased the number of students doing computer science at A-level and GCSE. We did a trial, and then we thought, well, how do we roll this out nationally? So we did a pilot phase. The pilot phase has just come to an end. We focused on a rollout of a subset of the things that had proved successful to both Gloucestershire and Welsh schools only. We launched this back in February, March at the National Digital Exploitation Centre in South Wales. Obviously, we got hit quite quickly by COVID and the schools and everyone going into lockdown, which had an impact on the number of schools and colleges that actually did find time to actually apply for one of 3 levels: bronze, silver or gold. So we're looking to recognise computer science and cybersecurity education excellence in the schools and colleges. We got together a panel of independent folk made up of academics, industry and some other government departments. They met back in July, and just last week we did a nice press release highlighting the fact of 13 schools across Gloucestershire and Wales had been awarded either a bronze, silver or gold. Sorry, I should say schools and colleges. So now we're looking to roll out nationally, and just today NCSC has put a press release out that I put into the chat showing that we're actually rolling out starting today to try and go to schools and colleges in Northern Ireland and North East England and roll out the scheme to them. Just as this slide says, so Northern Ireland, North East England were next. In March, we're looking to do Northwest England, October. Actually, we just decided to change that. Actually, sorry, the slides are out of date. In March, we're looking to roll out to Yorkshire and Humberside, and then in October next year, Northwest England and Southwest England, and so on as we roll out regionally. So what do schools have to do to get this accreditation? So we're looking for several things. Support from their senior management, for them to have a cybersecurity education strategy. If they offer education at a key stage, either key stage 3, which is pre-GCSE, key stage 4 GCSE, or key stage 5 A-level, then they must offer computing. And obviously, if they're a sixth form college, we're only looking for them to offer A-level and BTEC type level computing. But if they're a secondary school with a sixth form, we're looking to do GCSE, A-level and BTEC. If they're only a middle school that you have in the Northeast, obviously we're only looking for them to offer key stage 3 computing. As part of this, we want them to basically support the teachers. So the school needs to sign up and say they're offering their computer science teachers lots of opportunities for CPD. Obviously, we all know working in the tech environment that actually technology does not stand still, and teachers need to be aware of the changes and developments in tech to be able to teach it. A large part of what we're looking for from the schools is to get extra curriculum school activities in. So this is where, in addition to the stuff they do in normal classes, we're looking for a range of extra curriculum school activities. These could be everything from a weekly club to days away where they go and visit a large university or a large industry company where the students get exposed to computing and cybersecurity related activities. Quite early on, when we were working with secondary schools in Gloucestershire, the teacher said to us to actually encourage and engage the kids in primary school was really important to actually fostering that interest in computing and computer science to want them to do GCSE. So we're looking for schools and colleges to have some sort of primary school engagement or lower school engagement. We also are looking for the schools to work with each other. We're developing an ecosystem as part of the regional ecosystem that the DCMS are rolling out. And we want schools to work with other schools, want to work with other universities. And so we're actually recognising that sort of level of engagement. Obviously, being the NCSC, we want the schools to participate in the full range of CyberFirst activities that we offer. That's everything from like the annual CyberFirst Girls competition, to highlighting our apprenticeship schemes, our free bursaries, and the full range of things that we do in the CyberFirst banner for UK government. And more importantly, what we're looking for, the last thing highlighted in red, and the main reason I'm talking to you guys, is to look for schools and industry working together. So we're looking for schools to engage with industry and use their contacts, the local industrial footprint, to try and enrich those school activities in cybersecurity and computing. And this, in our trial in Gloucestershire, proved to be one of the most productive elements in getting the kids, the students, more excited about doing GCSE, applying for A-level, and then going off either to university or an apprenticeship or to work in a company in that cybersecurity sphere. So very important. So how do the schools benefit from all that? So we're asking them to apply. It's quite a large piece of paper that they have to put in. So there is some, obviously, that the scheme supports elements of Ofsted in England, which is obviously the inspection framework, and Gatsby, which schools use to benchmark themselves from a careers advice perspective. Obviously, anything that the school can put onto their prospectus helps the school in ever competitive market. We look to cross over into the other STEM subjects, not just the T for technology. Obviously, everyone knows in cyber there's a large maths element, there's a large technical element. So we're looking for that cross STEM overlap. They benefit from becoming part of that community of secondary and further education and academia. They have access to the CyberFirst Industry Company scheme, and this is where companies like yourselves can get recognised by the CyberFirst, have some brand association with CyberFirst and NCSC to actually support the schools and colleges. So obviously, as the schools and colleges become CyberFirst schools, we give them access to those CyberFirst industries. Something new that's only been started for about a year is CISI UK. So CISI is was originally a US academic element about trying to come up with universities providing the steerage and lead for cybersecurity education from the universities downwards. And they've just started a UK chapter led by 3 prominent universities in the UK, something that NCSC has sponsored. And obviously we're looking for the schools and colleges will help them be part of CISI UK. We have a resource portal, and then we also have a range of CyberFirst ambassadors, as we tend to call them now. So these are people where companies have lent them to NCSC for 1 day a week, and their role is to put together schools and industry to try and develop a range of activities to excite the students. So that's enough from me for the time being. I'm going to just play a video to see, so you can see how the schools in the trial in Gloucestershire and what they got from it. So hopefully this will work.
The NCSC Cyber Schools Hub has provided widening school students with many opportunities in cybersecurity and computing.
It has really raised our aspirations by providing workshops, talks and role models, and just really exposed us to cyber. We've learned so many new skills and we're being prepared for the future.
We would like to say a special thanks to BAE Systems, CGI, Deep3, Infrastar, CSA, Syngenta and Deloitte,
Who have helped inspire our aspirations and helped us understand how our country's infrastructure is protected.
The Cyber Schools project has provided us with many opportunities.
We visited Hub 8, attended Cylem events, taken part in Cyber Club, and had many opportunities of work experience.
We had industries come in such as Pythons. We've learned how to ethically hack.
Industries have brought learning to life and allowed us to experience new opportunities. It's inspired us for the future.
I would say that the Cyber Schools Hub has had a transformative impact on our students. I think that what essentially is made is computer science a really mainstream popular subject, whereas before it used to be quite niche. But I think the work that's happened with the Cyber Schools Hub has meant that far more students have opted to take it at A level because it seems to be, a really interesting, exciting and dynamic subject. It's now our second most popular A level. It's now our computer science and courses related to computer science are now our most popular university destination for our students, which is just overtaken from psychology. So it's having a really big impact, and that's not including the students who are not going to university but going into the cyber and computer science industry, and lots of them have got really impressive apprenticeships. And I would say this is almost entirely down to the work that's happened with the Cyber Schools Hub. It's transformed their aspirations, they've been inspired by guest speakers, and some of the work that they've actually been doing at things like work experience has been so engaging, so exciting, has captured their imagination and made it, as I say, a really, really popular choice, both at A level and degree level.
The Cyber Schools Hub has been a fantastic opportunity for our young people at Wydeen School. Being able to link with industry has really helped us to bring the curriculum alive. We've had the benefit of having people coming into school here that have really got some incredibly impressive CVs, and our children are working with those on a day-to-day basis. That not only has enhanced their own ability to code and to be able to work with computers, it's also raised their aspirations because they're coming across people who have the sorts of jobs that they would wish to pursue in the future. And that can't be something that you underestimate, because the children having the aspiration is what really pushes them forward to achieve their dreams.
The Cyber Schools Hub, I attended work experience with CSA, which has allowed me to further my knowledge and want to pursue a career within penetration testing.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I'm a GCSE computer science student at Wydeen School. The Cyber Schools Hub and industry involvement has provided me the following opportunities, and I've really enjoyed them. First of all, we've experienced a lot of workshops in coding, ethical hacking and cybersecurity, which I've really enjoyed and find have nourished my learning in those areas. Also, I've been able to experience role models for the cyber industry, and I found them really helpful in deciding my career. Also, I've been on trips to real industries, and CGI in general has really inspired me to do a career in cyber, to follow a career in cyber.
Last year we entered the CyberFirst competition and it inspired us to go into cyber.
I enjoyed the CyberFirst competition because it was really fun and it got my brain working, which doesn't happen really often. I'm not bragging, it just doesn't happen that often. As part of the CyberFirst competition, I learned about creative thinking and how to think outside the box when the answer isn't always there, like right in front of you.
Industry involvement has made me think more into cyber and involve me more in things.
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm Eric. I'm Phoebe. And we are part of Riding Cyber Group. And we have learned and enjoyed so much about cyber, including sensors, coding, and hacking another computer.
Another way the Cyber Schools Hub project has benefited us is in the funding of Cyber Club. Cyber Club has allowed us to learn lots of new skills such as app development, coding and robotics. It has also allowed us to socialise and build our teamwork skills, along with allowing us to have lots of new experiences.
The reason I went into cyber because I felt interested in what the boys were doing and I wanted to be a part of it.
And then we're good friends, so I found out about it, and then the CyberFirst competition for girls was like a kickstart to like interest to like cyber careers and things.
Since CyberFirst, we've met a lot of people, including Timmy from CGI. She's so inspirational and she's taught us that we can be anyone we want to be. We want to go into careers in cyber now, like I want to do cyber in the Navy and I want to go into secret cyber organisations.
Okay, so you saw some of the impact that has had on the students from the companies that have supported the schools. So this is what we're keen to do. So obviously we're rolling out to the North East and Northern Ireland. We're trying to get the schools on board, and what we're looking to do is also try and get local industry involved in the scheme. So you heard there quite a few of the things that have been going on. That was all in the pilot phase. And here you can see in this word cloud, you can see some of the other things that has gone on. So we've had Dragon's Dens, we've had cyber TV channels, we've had the standard work experience, we've had e-mentoring. E-mentoring has been a very clever way of connecting students with industry. It's been very, very rewarding for both ends, actually. They've done workshops, they've had loads of inspirational input, they've developed their own clubs, they've gone to festivals, they've had use of immersive labs, online learning ability. We had one company go in and run a club. 5 members of the company went in every week into a school, and they developed an IoT greenhouse. And I remember watching one lot of kids actually building this IoT greenhouse and learning how to secure the network that ran it. And then secretly in another room, there was a group of students learning how to hack it. And unfortunately, the only thing that got hurt was a few strawberries in that whole activity, but the kids got an awful lot from it. So industry, working with schools and colleges, companies like yours can make a huge difference. So I'm just going to give you another quick video and give you an idea of what some of the companies got from it.
I thought it was great having students in the office and working experience. They created real buzz about the place and brought some fantastic innovative ideas and thinking differently to how we do, which diversity and thought is what it's all about. So yeah, it's great fun.
For me, the working experience was a rewarding experience, helping students take their first steps from the world of studies to the world of work. What a working environment is like, challenges involved.
It was really rewarding to see the students blossom, sort of came in on day one, they were quite nervous, and then they become a lot more confident as they progress.
Well, the whole point of developing a robot is that you get the robot to do the job. So rather than me telling you why the Cyber Hubs project has been so amazing, I'm going to hand over to Pico.
The Cyber Hubs project has generated a renewed interest in computer science amongst students. At a recent cyber event, young humans described programming as fun, cool, and amazing.
Initiatives like this are really important to help demonstrate to the younger generation coming through that there are a multitude of careers available in cybersecurity that are both interesting, well rewarding, and can suit a different set of mindsets.
Really enjoyed you mentioning it's fantastic to see the next generation of cyber technologists coming up with some fantastic ideas and being able to support them to develop those.
Events like this are really important to the children, particularly because they get to see the real side of cybersecurity. They get to speak to real people, and it gives great context to them. It's not just me telling them that cybersecurity is really interesting and exciting. They're actually seeing it for themselves.
Well, the UK needs to grow as a country, and we also need to sort of develop the next generation of talent to also support the country going forward. We can't always rely on sort of old grey men like me, so it's always good to have a new generation of talent with new thinking and understanding new technologies.
If we're going to inspire the next generation of cybersecurity and technology professionals, then we have to engage with students of all ages and show them what being a cybersecurity professional is all about, that there are multiple different ways that they can get into the industry, and really inspire them that actually it's a great place to be and to achieve some really amazing things.
So that logo cloud gives you an idea of the range of companies, from what I would call the big players in cyber industry to a lot of the small players, and they all had a marked effect on the schools that they worked with. So what can you do? So we've touched on some of these already. So as companies working with our schools, we can provide, or you can provide inspirational input, and that comes in a range of ways. Changing the child's inspiration, providing inspiration to the child and changing their aspirations is a key thing to gaining that interest in computer science and that want to go into the cybersecurity industry. So we've heard about e-mentoring, obviously the work experience, the clubs, the resources. What we found was when we went in with the schools, actually the computer science teachers would love to have some more exciting resources to build. And there you can actually see a picture. It looks like the kids are gluing something, but that's actually a part of their modeling for that IoT greenhouse. They did that with virtual reality, with 3D, with CAD, and then they actually built and programmed sensors that went into it. So that was a really exciting thing about bringing something to life for those teachers. And then there was just a range of cyber activities. So some of these were built with the teachers. Sometimes a company went off, formed their own little project team, gave a trainee project manager a task, and developed an activity so they then took into schools. So the main thing we were looking at, and the main thing we want industries to help us with, is to get that computer science take up, change that diversity and social mobility, get more kids into it, give them that informed career choice, provide the teachers with the resources, and just support them, and just provide that support. We find that computer science teachers in schools are sometimes one or two deep, and actually having a local company that's willing to go in and help them has a massive effect, not only on the kids, but also on those teachers' morale. So why am I talking to you? So we're looking to try and obviously build up the number of companies that work with us, but also we're looking to build up a range of CyberFirst ambassadors to help bridge and join those industries and the schools together. So following the model we piloted in Gloucestershire, where we had 3 CyberFirst ambassadors working with probably 10, 20 companies, joining about 15, well, sometimes 15 schools, sometimes 39 schools together in activities. We're looking for more of these CyberFirst ambassadors. As you can see, as we've rolled out, we've got 6 in Wales. We've got none in the Northeast at the moment, hence my reason for talking to you guys. Just had 1 in the Northwest, and we've got 3 coming from the Yorkshire Cyber Cluster. So to give you a bit more background, so this is what we're looking for from these CyberFirst ambassadors. And if you click on that link below, you'll see what we're asking for and what you get in return. So you get a good insight into NCSC, you get a closer relationship, you get some brand association, but we are looking for you to spend up to a day a week helping us do this, and obviously that's for free. For companies who want to join and start supporting the schools, we have an industry recognition scheme, the CyberFirst Industry Recognition Scheme, where we have 3 levels: supporter, associate, and partner. And you can join and you get to have some brand association with CyberFirst and NCSC. There's a range of things, not just supporting the schools. You could offer students placements, you could sponsor students, you get access to graduates for job offers, pre-selected, usually coming with a security clearance. There's dinners and award evenings, and you get to network with both small and large companies. So we've got everything from the small local pen test company to the large players such as Tesco's, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, Sainsbury's. So big and small companies. For every activity you do to support a school, we provide you with points, and these points help you work up that recognition level. And then you obviously get a range of marketing materials to market your support of CyberFirst and get that brand association. So the Gloucestershire pilot proved that local companies supporting local schools work best. So what we're looking for is local companies in the North East to support local schools in the North East. There's our email address. I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks, Glenn. Can you hear me okay? A couple of questions before I bring in the panel, if you wouldn't mind. So schools have a huge amount on their plate at the moment, with COVID and all that sort of thing. Are you finding this initiative cutting through all that noise?
So what we found is obviously teachers are very busy and they've got a lot of education to catch up with the students, but the students still have to have something to break out from the doldrum of lessons. We're finding that companies that used to go into schools obviously now can't, maybe because of the company's posture, they're working from home, or the schools are not allowing visitors on site. So we're seeing a bit of a switch to virtual offerings and virtual engagement with schools. So we've seen some switches to virtual work experience. Obviously the e-mentoring scheme has been something that has just blossomed, because obviously you can do that over the internet. And also we've seen schools and teachers asking for some extra input. They still want to talk to people in the industry. They just want to do it over Zoom or Teams now. So the interest is still there, just the way we're delivering has changed because of COVID.
I guess doing it virtually means you can do one-to-many rather than spending time just in one school. So that could be an advantage. But one thing is, a lot of cybersecurity companies in the Northeast are quite small, you know, a couple of people, and this could represent a significant investment for them to get involved. Would it be possible for companies to come together to share the workload?
Yes, originally obviously it was tend to be the larger prime companies I probably went to first, and yeah, large teams got involved with schools. But then we saw smaller companies wanting to get involved, and eventually we saw them work. We did see them working together, where maybe one company would provide some piece of like a project manager, and another company then provided the workforce, and they worked together. But we also saw that the value of just coming together in schools. We certainly saw that companies were. A classic one was when Bank of England got involved, and then suddenly one of our companies got a contract with the Bank of England, and that all became just because they happened to meet at the same school event and they got talking, sort of thing. So there's opportunity to work together and club together as small companies. There's also that networking value of working with small, medium or large companies and getting involved in the same space.
I guess that's where the cyber cluster, Cyber North, can actually help facilitate that. Can you just remind us, I know you've mentioned it in the presentation, but which of the extracurricular activities were most popular with the students?
It's interesting because I couldn't name one, just because all the students are different. And, yeah, and there was always an appetite from some students for any type of activity. Yeah, the more exciting ones were when you had the role models come into the school. But you could have, we started off with a female role model program, and quite quickly we realized that we got all these inspiring females from industry to go into schools, and then suddenly we realized that a male could inspire a female student just as much as a female can inspire a female student. And we realized that schools didn't see male or female. That's just something we see in the industry. Schools just see students, and they wanted to inspire all of them. We got a lot of flack from some schools around only doing a CyberFirst girls competition. Where was the competition for the boys? So that's something that we're working on to deliver next year, is a boys competition. So it isn't a one size fits all, and but what it is for industry and for staff working in industry, it's a very rewarding experience when you realize you've inspired and educated a group of students.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that. And Claire, could I ask you to bring up Chris, Jill and Neil, please? Hello, Chris.
Afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Good to see you.
Could you just give us, in a sentence, introduce yourself, please, and then we'll introduce the others.
Absolutely. I'm the founder, managing director of Aspire Technology Solutions, a Gateshead-based managed service and communications provider.
Excellent. Jill, are you there?
I am, hello. So my name's Jill McKinney and I am Head of Skills at Sunderland Software City.
Excellent, thank you very much. And Neil?
I am part of the skills team at the North East Local Enterprise Partnership. I did some work with around CyberFirst last year with Patrick. Yeah, that's me.
Excellent, excellent, thanks. Well, clearly I'm going to be replaced by Pico, as we've seen in the video at some point, but there you go. My first question then for you is for you, Chris, that cybersecurity is such a fast-moving industry. How can businesses, your kind of business, help teachers to keep pace with what's going on?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It does. It probably moves faster than any other area of technology, and that's saying something considering the rate of development of all other areas of technology. I think where industry can come in is really just coming up with some real-world examples. In my experience, the level of constantly evolving threats continues to develop, and it's really only by sharing that knowledge and helping each other and then helping the next generation of cybersecurity experts that we're going to stay ahead of that curve. So keeping it real to the world, obviously staying within data protection limits, but sharing those real world examples of what we're seeing on the front line, what we are seeing in terms of attacks that are threatening our customers, and that we're helping to protect them from, and the mitigations that are in place for that as well, because realistically, every single time it's a different type of threat, and the protection from it just gets better every time as well, and it has to keep people protected.
Excellent. Same question for you, Jill. How do we keep how do businesses help teachers to keep pace?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of it's a difficult one because Glenn alluded to in his presentation, it moves so fast. So keeping teachers up to speed is quite a task, but I think I agree with Chris. I think it's the real life kind of experiences and helping them understand how it fits with industry. So teachers in schools have a curriculum that they work towards, and that's great, and it does cover some of the essential elements, but what it doesn't necessarily cover is that real life stuff. So I think it's just having that constant dialogue. I'm not entirely sure that structured CPDs once a month or however often are the best solution. I think it's an ongoing dialogue. I think it's sharing that, the things that we're all used to receiving, the newsletters, the updates, the social media posts, around the constant shift and the change, and just making sure that they're kept in the loop with that so that it can bring that back into the classroom and use it to develop their content. And I think also the kind of giving them the challenges to work on so that they can go through those with their students will also help them understand the inner workings, if you like, of the cybersecurity world, and the challenges that cybersecurity attacks bring to businesses as well.
Excellent. So one thing I know, because I'm not a technical person in any way, but cybersecurity is very much a people problem. It's people hacking at other people, and it's quite often these sort of social things which are get in the way. How do we tell that better story to schools and students?
So I read actually in the FA News last week, or might have even been this week, I'm lost with my days now, that 92% of businesses have admitted experiencing increased cybersecurity attacks since COVID. So it's a very, very real issue. I'm not sure if schools face the same issues. They probably do. I know other large educational organisations very close to home have recently suffered with a cybersecurity attack that took everybody offline for weeks and weeks. So I think there's two sides to that. I think they've got to understand the problem, how big the problem is, the enormity of the cyber attack issue, and then kind of understand where the solution comes in and how the two things have to work together. So the biggest story is helping them understand that it is a real problem. The 92% of businesses, that's a huge amount of businesses that have been affected by security attacks because of COVID. So they're not only dealing with COVID, they're also dealing with, their data being stolen or limited access to their accounts. So I think making sure that teachers understand that whole picture will help them bring their subject to life when they're talking about it in the classroom.
Okay, Neil, if I could bring you in at this point, and clearly the LEP has to tell the story about the North East often, frequently, to senior and very strong business people. How do you get that story across? Because the region's not particularly noted for cybersecurity. We're growing in terms of our influence, but how do you get those stories across to people of influence?
Well, I guess there's kind of two elements, and sort of picking up on your previous question as well. So I guess there's one that, you know, the Northeast is a hub in in all things digital, and cyber being a huge part of that. But just picking up on what kind of Jill said there, there's the connectivity to every organisation, every job, every company. There's the connectivity of cybersecurity, and that's, I think, the bit from an educational point of view that often goes under the radar. That we kind of look at lots of different organisations, but actually in all of those organisations, there's, you know, cybersecurity is a key element, and that very much then links into kind of that driver and that conversation that educators have with young people, that, you know, this is a big problem now, and actually it's potentially a big problem going forward, and we need people to solve those problems and to work on those problems. So I think there's like a whole narrative that's just a little bit bigger than just thinking about cybersecurity in its silo. It's kind of how it cross-cuts, you know, all areas of industry. Just coming back to the previous bit, so as part of my role, I spend a lot of time connecting industry with educators, and done work with Jill sort of in the past, and all the great work that goes on in her world. I think that what you picked up on sort of there previously is really important, that having an off-the-shelf kind of upskilling isn't the right way to go, and doesn't have the impact that often some of these, some big sort of CPD national programs have. So the connectivity and almost that kind of one-to-one, I can bounce my ideas as an educator off someone in industry, because actually I'm quite strong at that bit and understand that bit. I understand the programming bit, but it's this bit that I need some support with. So I think kind of that's one of the key things. It's kind of the bespoke support that educators can give and industry can give, not just saying, well, you know, we'll engage in a CPD program. So yeah, I mean, we've tried and tested quite a few things, I guess, kind of, and Jill will be able to talk probably all day on it, sort of around, you know, this sort of connectivity of the digital world with education. I think the barriers are twofold. One is about the aspirations, which Glenn sort of touched on through some of the things that they do, and B is about the capacity. There are a number of schools that I know who deliver computer science, for example, up to GCSE, but they haven't got the capacity and they haven't got the numbers to make it viable to offer it at A level. And that's where it's really important that I was speaking to a school recently, and they had two really high-flying mathematicians, physics, wanted to do computer science at A level, couldn't do it at the school, but wanted to stay at the school just because of the viability of the program. And I think that's another element where industry can really help young people to say, right, okay, you might not be able to do that exact thing at A level, but, you know, stay interested in your maths, stay interested in your physics, and actually, you know, you can revisit and we'll support you while you can't do the qualification as such. So I think there's kind of, yeah, all sorts of things that, you know, industry bring to the table, but I think it's quite nuanced for different educators, different young people in different institutions.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Neil. And could I just bring Glenn back in again, because NCSC obviously has a huge weight behind it and has some very strong messages to get. Do you find that your C-suite members pick them up because you're NCSC or because they're very interested in cybersecurity?
I guess the closer you are to Cheltenham and London and that sort of cyber corridor that goes between Bristol and Malvern is the brand. But then as you get further away from that sort of cyber central, as they're calling it, it is more about companies and schools just wanting to work together, I think. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot to be gained from that brand association for companies with the CyberFirst and NCSC, and there's a lot of recognition now for schools to be able to get that logo, that sign of excellence. But actually, the value in it is actually getting those companies and schools just working together, and basically, as I've said before, changing the kids' aspirations, inspiring them to want to go into the industry, and it could be through any route. It's interesting you mentioned about schools not having enough take up of A-level, Neil. That sixth form that was mentioned in the video, I just found out the other week, have just decided not to offer computer science, despite the fact of it was there last year. It was their biggest uptake, and what they decided this year is to get kids into the right sort of courses they need to be going to in university. They need to be doing maths more, and so they decided to encourage the kids to do maths, to get them into cybersecurity courses and computer science courses at some of the universities. That's the unique space we're in at the moment, in the fact of universities in the UK do not require you to have done computer science at A-level to be able to do one of their courses, but they'll still go into the industry. And how's that sixth form got that information? It's got that information by chatting to companies and staff in those companies and saying, well, what did you do when you got into university? What subjects did you do? And they've realised actually it's a blend. It's not that guaranteed. You've got to have done computer science. So there's a lot of value.
Can I just ask you a question about that then? So one of the things, obviously, we pushed out to all of the secondary schools the information that you'd fired across regarding the school accreditation, bronze, silver, gold. So it read, and I might have interpreted it wrong because I did glance, that if one of the criteria is for offering the qualifications in the school.
Yeah, that's correct.
Therefore, if they no longer offer, does that mean they can no longer be accredited to a certain level? Because that was one of the things that an educator turned around and sort of said, well, you know, we can't go for that because we don't offer it at A level, for example.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We're living in a dynamic educational world as there's a dynamic technology world. At the moment, we're looking for a A-level or a BTEC level 3 type equivalent for them to get that level. If as we roll out nationally, we find actually there are schools that can show statistics that their kids have gone into careers in cybersecurity or have gone off to university courses in cybersecurity and computer science without doing that, then it's something we'll have to have a look at and possibly tweak in the future.
Okay, so I think it's a good point to bring Chris back in here and say, because we talked about, do you do math, do you do computer science? What skills do you look for most when you're employing cybersecurity professionals?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is to have the right mindset, analytical background, problem solver by nature. I mean, interestingly enough, I actually did physics at university and then and didn't do computer science at levels either. So I think that Glenn and Neil are absolutely right when there are a variety of different paths into this. Having said that, I think having qualifications in computer science is a good prerequisite to going into cybersecurity. Apart from anything else, it just shows the nature of the candidate and that they do have that analytical problem solving. I think the analytical, some strengths in maths is absolutely what's key from a skills perspective. Beyond that, it's about having the right attitude, and we're looking for people who are keen, who want to be problem solvers. Going back to what Jill said, cybersecurity is absolutely a human thing. One of the big shifts we've seen is the change away from automated attacks and the like to ones where you can absolutely identify and see that there are humans involved, if you like, in the evil side of the cyber attacks. So when they're getting access to systems, they're actually making intelligent decisions about uninstalling some ransomware protection, even deleting backups, and doing everything they can to make sure that they're most likely to potentially get a successful ransomware attack. And even then doing research into the company they've compromised and deciding an appropriate level to demand from a ransom perspective. So this is absolutely a human on human battle, and therefore those problem solving skills, those analytical skills, and coolness under pressure are skills which are absolutely key, as well as the technical background.
So clearly you're interested in supporting schools, and hence you're on this call, but some of this act could be quite big, depending upon the organisation size. I mean, you're a successful, growing organisation, but how will the business balance the desire to help young people with its need to run the business.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the priority for any organisation has to be, particularly in these challenging times, to protect their organisation, to look after their profit and loss and look after their balance sheet. That said, you know, probably the biggest challenges we have as an organisation revolve around recruitment. And while it may look altruistic, us getting involved with young people and eulogising about how the right way to get in the industry is, you know, we are absolutely aware of the fact that gets our name out there. We want to be thought of as a successful end game for these people. If we're getting people going through university, getting the right skills, getting the right qualifications, then you know, there is absolutely a deficit of these skills at the area at this particular moment. If you look at the number of people who are coming through with cyber qualifications, the demand for them absolutely outstrips that. And we see organisations starting to realise cybersecurity is very much its own department, which can even sit slightly outside of a traditional IT team. So, you know, all I would say to the young people out there is if you're getting the right skills and the right qualification in this regard, there will be opportunities for you. So really, this is about looking after yourself and your future career. And the thing that businesses have to recognise that we all have a part to play to make sure there is enough skills coming through in the next generation. And those organisations who are heavily involved in that will be well thought of, and then they'll have access to that talent pool which we're all helping to develop.
Excellent. So back to Jill. Thank you very much, Chris. But Jill, are you seeing in the skills arena that move towards a more human kind of involvement rather than technical requirement for cybersecurity or even technical people?
Yeah, I just kind of want to pick up on one of the, well, a couple of the points that Chris made there. And there are businesses like Aspire and other businesses within the region that are already supporting schools and doing an absolutely fantastic job with that. So that's brilliant. I think one of the key things we need to address is the general awareness. So I've worked with schools for a lot more years than I probably care to remember now, to be fair. And I asked them 7 years ago, what do you know about tech and digital? What do you know about this world? The answer was nothing. You ask them now, what do you know about this world? The answer is, you know, they're all digital natives. They know what the phone is. They know what a computer is. They hear these words, hack. They understand the words, but there is still a general lack of awareness around what that actually means. And you know, from a northeast, from a selfishly northeast point of view, we've got all these wonderful businesses, and you're right, Phil, in what you said earlier on to Glenn, is that we've got a significant cluster of smaller businesses that people just don't know about because they're not a household brand. They're not a name that you would associate with digital. You know, I drive past Aspire's building on I used to, I don't do that anymore because I'm obviously sat at home. Used to drive past Aspire's building on a regular basis. I know what it is. If I said to my kids, who are they do know now because I've explained it to them, they would have no clue. You've got an absolutely wonderful building and it's got your name up on there, and you know, it's a real showstopper when you get to that Hewith roundabout. But nobody outside of that building really knows what you do. And that is the same across the board. So I think it's kind of baby steps, if you like, but we need to get it to be common language. We need to start with primary school and work our way up. And we need to be just gently giving them the information so that it just becomes the norm. You know, if you ask kids about construction, they can tell you all about it. And, you know, generally they can tell you what type of job you'll do in that industry and, you know, what skills you potentially might need. Ask them about cybersecurity and they'll go, use a computer. You know,
it comes back to telling that story, doesn't it? And but we've nearly 300 secondary schools in the region, so that's an awful lot to go for. How do we engage with the people who would be most interested? What's the formula for that?
I think you've got to remove that bit initially. So we run some really successful programs in schools already, STEM related, digital related programs, and we engage really successfully. We have done right throughout COVID. We've obviously had to transition to an online virtual world, but it's worked really well. What you've got to do is just make sure that you give everybody that opportunity. So what we're doing at this point in education, and Glenn mentioned it in his presentation, is that we're giving them the knowledge so that they can make well-informed decisions about their next move. If they don't know about cybersecurity, there are unlikely to choose that as a career option. So, you know, you take a class size, and out of that class size, you might get 2 or 3 people that will pursue that as a career. But if you don't give everybody that opportunity, you're doing the sector a misjustice. So you get all of them and you tell them all about it, and then you kind of slowly filter that down to the ones that really are keen and want to find out, and then you just work a little bit more in a more focused way with those people to help make sure that they continue on that journey and they understand, as well as everything else that's going on, what their access routes are, and understand that it's not, you know, university is wonderful, but it's not the only option. We've also got great apprenticeships and other opportunities for them to get involved as well.
Excellent, thanks. So, Neil, CSR, corporate social responsibility, is quite often a head office issue. It's part of the marketing team. We don't have the head offices in the region that many other regions do. How do we overcome that problem?
I always think it's one to avoid. I mean, yeah, I think getting into that discussion and making CSR a driver, I don't think is the way to go. And especially as we are we're talking about, as sort of Jill and Chris said, you know, it's a makeup of smaller businesses and often very small businesses, but actually collectively, the message that Jill's talking about, that important message of raising the awareness of what it is, with lots of different voices, from, you know, the 2-man bands up to the big players. But I would absolutely agree with kind of coming back to that. There is I wouldn't call it a responsibility, but we need to somehow open up what's going on in this hidden sector to young people. You know, you've got Accenture sort of, you know, main sponsor on the thing behind you. It's exactly the same. You know, there's a building on Cobalt. No one that you talk to has got a clue what goes on in the building. And they, you know, they're involved in, you know, I don't need to say what they're involved in, but, you know, they're involved in massive sort of digital programs, you know, with all sorts of other partners that open up all sorts of other worlds. So there is something about that turning buildings inside out. And I think that is actually a really nice starting point. It's something that all people can engage with without it being a big time onerous thing. You know, going into schools, it's time, you know, it takes time, it takes planning, it takes a lot of communication. But actually, as Jill said, you start, you know, you've got to track back and start younger with that. Actually, this is what it is, and this is what goes on here, and this is what we do, and that's a building block for the other things that come later on.
Yeah, so if anything's happened from COVID, it's shown us that buildings are less important than we thought it was. So we've only got a few minutes left. This has been the quickest hour ever of my life. But let's just go to that question of schools don't see gender, they don't see ethnicity, they see as students. We've clearly got a gender issue in cybersecurity. Any quick thoughts on what we can do, Neil?
So yeah, I mean, gender inequalities in STEM and stereotypes have existed since, you know, I was educating for 20 years as well, and there's initiative after initiative after initiative to try and turn it around, whether it's mentors, you know, whether it's role models, whether it's specific programs. And I'm not going to say that there's an easy solution to it, because you know, it would be wrong for me to say. I think the added effect of all of those things are what can have a difference. But I think you need to be intentional in planning. So it's the intentionality that we know that what the data says about that stereotyping, and using the data to unpick the initiatives to try and address it. Yeah, okay. It's, you know, it's the likes of Jill standing up in front of, you know, primary school children and telling them how amazing it is, and, you know, the coat sinking sort of in that building and all the things. It's all of that, plus some of the real sort of bespoke, right, how are we going to address uptake of GCSE with girls in particular, you know, and I know CyberFirst do sort of part of that as well.
Okay. Can I thanks Neil, can I go and ask Glenn the same question? What's NTSC doing to address this?
So NCSC CyberFirst skills competition is our main focus here, where we're looking at basically targeting Year 8 girls to get them involved in a competition that appeals to the different strengths that female students have to males, but to also just get them interested and excited. Now, it is interesting actually. My partner is an assistant principal, and at her school, when the school entered the CyberFirst girls competition, the boys in her little crew said basically, well, what can we do to help the girls? We want to support the girls. And they basically saw it as a school thing still. They're still trying to get their girls involved, but they want to get the school to progress through the competition. So trying to foster that type of thing where boys support girls, girls support boys. But the main NCSC focus at the moment is looking to try and use that CyberFirst girls competition to get girls at the Year 8 stage, obviously just before making their GCSE choices, to inspire and attract them into taking computer science.
Okay, thank you very much. Chris, same question.
Yeah, I think that where Glenn's talking about is absolutely where the targeting needs to be done. I think that's the right type of age. I mean, what we see is, so we've got a very successful apprenticeship program. We probably have something like 20 to 25 apprentices over the last four years or so. We've been fortunate to have four female candidates come through that. They've all done incredibly well. So when we get female candidates, we see huge success with them, and they progress through the company very rapidly, and they're absolutely ideal candidates. And I think at that sort of, Year 7, Year 8 stage, the testing all shows they've got the right skill set. They're good at maths, they're good at the sciences, and they have the right building blocks. It's about keeping their attention through those decision-making years of GCSEs and A-levels. And unfortunately, from our perspective, it's where we're not necessarily engaged with them at this stage, but that's something as part of this program we're looking to change and really come in evangelizing about the opportunities for both boys and girls coming through these careers, and then talking and potentially even getting some of our female apprenticeship candidates to actually come in and talk about it as well, and say, look, this is the opportunities I've had as a result of this, and this is how successful my career is looking as a result, and really making it so that they can understand the opportunities that they'd be missing out on if they don't do this type of thing.
Excellent, thank you. And Jill, last word from you.
So I think with the female thing, it is about that empowerment and showing everybody that they can, and showing them opportunities. Role models work really well. One of the key things that I see that has an amazing impact is when you take students into the business, and they see the diversity of that business and the different roles that people are in, whether they be male or female, and understand their journey, where they started, where they are, what they love about their job, why they went into that role in the first place. But it is. I'm not a huge advocate of doing female only things, because I think you then kind of, and Glenn said he got some pushback from schools saying, what about the boys? Because you do exclude a huge audience of potential candidates for these roles. But there's a fine line to walk. I think we have to just make sure that the girls understand that this is an opportunity that they can pursue. My very strong belief is that there's a generational thing here, and I think we'll probably see, so long as we do it right as industry, I think in a few years to come, there will not be that. There is a huge gender imbalance in a lot of sectors. So in teaching, there's more females than males, and in nursing and that kind of thing. But I think as we progress, and female get a stronger voice in industry generally, I think it will just become the norm that people will just choose an industry based on what their interests are, and not have that kind of stereotypical perception of what's happening. Can I just quickly say one thing? And this is a plug, but it is for the better good of the region. If we want to understand where we're struggling with digital skills and we want to start making a move, there's actually a survey that we've been working with the Institute of Coding and the Digital Skills Survey. I'd just love for people to complete that, just so we can get a really good idea of what's going on in the region, and we can shape the programs that we've got, so the cyber programs that we've got in schools, the STEM programs that we deliver, and all of the fantastic work that's going on in industry, we can make that better so long as we've got the data that we need to be able to make those decisions. So I'll put that link in the chat for everybody, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that that's in circulation at the moment, and this is how we're going to make programs like these stronger, with the use of that data.
Thank you very much, Jill. We'll also circulate that to Twitter. It's on my to-do list, so there you go.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for everybody. So that's it. That's our 10th CyberFest event. That must be one of the quickest hours that I've ever had in my life. The final one is tonight, and we're looking at cybersecurity as a creative force, so I hope to see you there. I'd like to thank our contributors, Chris Fraser from Aspire, Jill McKinney from Sunderland Software City, and Neil Willis from the North East NELEP. I'd also like to thank Glenn from the NCSC for their support, Dynamo, Accenture, and the Innovation Super Network, as well as Claire from Beacon House Events for handling all the tech behind the scenes. And of course, thank you for attending. Remember, September is CyberFest. Thank you very much.